All right, let's get started. So let's start off with going to
I guess
Scratch.
it's private now.
It looks like it. You're the only student.
Yeah.
Okay, so just let's create a new project. So let's go to Scratch. And actually, you know what? We're not going to create a new project. Let's just continue where we left off with your other project, the one we were working on last week. So let's go to My Stuff, and let's open up the moving platform. Okay? And so we can just continue. I just want to continue here because our movement is done and our map is done, so we don't have to redo it. So just make sure you open it. Let me know when you open it, okay? Hey, did you open it? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. Uh, so once you have this map loaded, what we're going to do is we're going to create an enemy, and that enemy is going to look for us. And is going to have a range. So once he crosses that range, then he's going to throw something at us, and then that is going. If that thing hits us, then we're going to reset. So basically, they're like moving uh, projectiles. Okay, so let's click on the create a choose a sprite and make a sprite. So you can choose a sprite or paint a sprite, whichever one's easier for you. And I'm going to create a. Let's see, who's going to be my enemy today? I'm gonna pick this wizard. And this wizard is gonna be the enemy. Once you have this guy, of course, make him small. I'm going to maybe 35. Uh, yeah, 25 looks good. I'm gonna choose 25. So okay, so once we have this character, what we're gonna do is one, we need to center this character in the middle of our screen. So what we need to do is go to the costumes and make sure he's centered. So if you picked a costume from the gallery, the costume should be centered already. But if it's not, then just make sure to move it into the center. And the rest of the other sprites, delete them. You only need one sprite. Okay. Now, what's going to happen with this guy is that this guy is going to be spawned just like our coins and just like our spikes. They're going to be spawned across the map. Um, but this guy is not going to be moved within the sprite. Instead, we're going to move it with something called a what is it called? Oh, I forgot the name. But it's basically you're just moving the character just a bit. You're adding to a position. I forgot the name of that thing, but that's what we're gonna do. So instead of moving it here in the picture, we're actually gonna move it in space here. So let's to do that, we're gonna go to the code, and then you can click on either the level or the collectibles, whichever one, and then click and drag your code. So I think it's yeah. So it should only be the three codes on the level. Yeah, the level hit. So just click and drag this into your enemy, So your enemy should now have these three scripts. Okay. And of course here it's giving you 25 characters or 25 um, clones. We're not going to do 25. I'm just going to do three just to test this out. Okay. So just put three clones, and then with these three clones, what you need to do is you need to change your costume three times. So you need this guy to be actually
I had to do repeat 30 instead of 25 so I can get all the levels. Because on mine it said it was then it had 30 cost.
Yeah, it does have 30. The reason why I did 25, it's because I don't like using the green levels. The green levels look weird, so that's why I stopped at 25. But if you want to use 30, that's fine with me. Okay. So once you have this, we're gonna remove the next costume and just create a clone of myself. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do with this guy, because when you press play, you see this guy is now spawned there. And then if I move to the next one, my guy spawns there. So what's happening is this guy is spawning right in the middle of the map, and that's okay. But we don't. We want this guy to be in a specific location. So to change this guy to a specific location, let's see when I yeah when I press play, this guy should be. I want this guy to be around here. So what I'm gonna do is it's called an offset. I'm gonna put an offset to this guy so he can spawn here in the ground. So to do that, we're gonna click on go to, and we're gonna grab this. We're gonna put it right here where it says set X to level X minus scroll X. Instead of just doing that, we're going to grab an addition. So we're gonna add. Oops. We're gonna add an operator. Okay, and we're gonna grab level X and scroll X, and we're gonna add a number, and then we're gonna grab this and instead put it to go to X. Okay, and remove set X to. Okay, so the top one will be changed to set go to X and then Y. Our X has to be a level X minus and then plus a number, and then Y is going to be a different number. So here, when you press play, when you press I'm sorry.
Pause.
Yeah.
We need to get it.
I just changed this part here. Go to.
Minus
Yeah.
level X scroll X plus blank. Ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So here it's we need to put a number. So again, if we press play, this guy's just gonna spawn in the middle. So now if I change this to let's just say 100, so you see how my wizard just moved location. So let me make this number bigger. So let's make it maybe 220, 250. And then that location looks fine. So now he's there. I want him to go a little bit lower. So right now he's at negative 37. I'm gonna do maybe negative 50. Negative 50 looks awesome. Looks good. So now when I press play, now he automatically is there at that location. But when I move forward, the other wizard also moved, and that's not what I want. I want this guy to have its own location. So how do you think we're gonna do this? How do you think we're going to change the location of these guys? Each one has independent location.
What?
How are we going to set each guy's position separately? Because right now everyone is following the same direction. Here, this guy is at 250 plus whatever the place is, minus 50 on the Y, and then same thing on the other guy.
What?
Okay, so you see here, it says go to, and then it says level X minus scroll X plus 250. That's my X, and my Y is negative 50. You see that, right? It's right here on the block. Now, if this guy is following that direction, and then this guy is also following that direction, right? But I don't want this guy to follow this direction. I want this guy to be in a different location. So how do you think we're going to do that?
The wizard gets stuck on the side of the screen.
Yeah, well, we're going to fix that later. But I'm saying, how are we going to fix this location? How do we change this location? If we change the number here, then our first wizard is going to be in a different location. So how do we set both of them in a different location?
If I don't know. What do you mean by different locations?
Okay, you see how this guy is here? You see my screen, right? You see how this guy is down here? This wizard is down here.
Yeah.
Okay. So how is this guy? I don't want this guy to be here anymore. I want this guy to be up here. So how do I change this guy's position to go up here?
That position?
Yeah, so I can change the position doing this. So instead of 250, I can do maybe 400 and then go up, let's just say 100 or maybe 150. So, and then now my wizard is up here and then that's good. But now if I go back to my original wizard, my original wizard is up here. Okay, you see the problem?
Yeah.
If I change one here, the other ones also change. So we need to figure out a way how to change how to have each one to have their own location. To do that, we're going to set them IDs. We're going to give them IDs. So this is going to be clone number 1, clone number 2, and then each one is going to have their own ID. Depending on their ID, that's the location they're going to go to. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's go to variables, and we're going to create a variable. So click on make a variable. Okay. And this variable is going to be for this sprite only. And what I'm going to call it is ID or clone ID. Clone ID. Okay. And then press OK. Once I have that, so we're going to move to here where it's creating clones. So it says here, create a clone of myself under the define create. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to set my clone ID to 1. Okay. And then when it creates a clone, I'm going to change my clone by 1. So my clone ID now it changes by 1. Okay. So now when I press play, the first wizard, the clone ID is 1. The second wizard, the clone ID is 2. The third wizard, the clone ID is 3. Okay. And okay. So now that we have that, what we're gonna do? I'm sorry. So all we did is do the set clone. I set this clone ID to 1, and then I changed the clone by 1.
Did we delete anything?
No.
Oh. It was only because I didn't see the third code.
Ah, I see.
But the clone's ID, but my clone ID is still staying at 4. It's just staying at 4. But when I start, it doesn't even go to 1. It stays at 4.
No, it starts at 1 because remember, our clones are being made really fast. So when a game starts, the clone actually is 1 and then moves up all the way to 4 because this repeats 3 times. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So that's why the clone ID stops at 4. Okay. Don't worry too much about the clone ID.
When I start, it still stays at 4.
I know, because when the clone starts at 1, here, if you want to see my screen and then look at it closely. So here I'm gonna do wait for once here. After I create a clone, I'm gonna wait for 1 second or maybe 3 seconds so you can see it. Okay, so now I'm gonna press play and look at my clone ID. 1, and then it becomes 2.
No, but when I start, then it still stays at 4.
I know it
It
stays
doesn't.
at 4
It
because
doesn't.
this is already doing the code, and then
No,
here you're already changing the code by 1.
it doesn't go back to 1.
No, no.
Let's
Look, it starts at 1.
okay,
Then
hold. Let
look,
her
it's look, it starts at 1. Okay, you see here, follow with me, follow me. Okay, so here the clone starts at 1. Okay, and then this is going to do, it's going to repeat 3 times. Okay, so the first clone ID is 1. Then you're changing the clone ID by 1, so now 1 becomes 2, and then 3, and then 4, and it stops. So this code runs immediately after you press the flag, so the number is going to stay at 4 because that's where it stops. If I change this to 4, now my clone ID is going to change to 5. Okay, because this repeated 4 times. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you keep seeing 4 on the clone ID. You're gonna see 4 because it already created the clones. The clones are already scattered in the game. They're already created. So each clone already has their own ID. Okay. Now, knowing that, let's go to this part of I'm sorry.
Can you restart this? Um, can you stop the thing then start it again? I want to see if it goes back to 1.
Okay. Yeah. So when you press a flag, it's not going to. You're not going to be able to see it start at 1. But if I add this wait, so if I add wait, and I'm gonna do 3 seconds so you can see it. I press flag. You see it starts at 1, and then moves to 2, 3, and then 4.
Oh. Wait, but something's wrong. Never mind.
Did you get it?
I just don't see any of the clones.
Yeah, because like I said, the clones are all in the map. So when you move in the game, you'll start to see all your clones appearing. Just like your coins and just like the map, you created all the coins, right? But they're all scattered in the map. When you move, the clones get closer to you or start going away, depending on what you're doing.
say thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. So once we have these clones done, these clones IDs done, so we're gonna move here to where it says when I start as a clone, and what we're gonna do is each clone is now going to have their own location. So instead of saying go to this location, we're now going to remove this. So let's take this off and just have the if statement. And here we're gonna add an extra if statement. We're gonna say if, oops, here down here, and we're gonna say if, and we're gonna do an equal sign, and we're gonna compare our clone ID. So if my clone ID equals 1, okay, that is my first clone, then I want this location, okay? I do this again, and this is gonna be for 2.
Right, can
If
you
my
stop?
You have to say why.
Because I need to get the code.
Okay. Say please hold on, I need to catch up.
Okay. So, like I said, this is the for clone one. This is the location it goes to. For clone two, this is the location it goes to, right? And then I'm gonna duplicate this one more time because we have three clones, and this is the third location. Now, now that we have this, now we can edit each one individually. So now when I press the flag, I can go to the first one, and the first one is at the correct location, so that's good. Now, if I go to the second one, it's not in the correct location. So now I can start editing the location. So here, instead of 150, let me do 150 maybe. Yeah, 150. And my Y is going to be let's see, 110 maybe? No, 105, 100, 90. Yeah, 90 looks good. Okay. So my second one, it's going to be 150 and 90. And my third one is going to be, let's see, my third one is just floating there. Let's go to 0. No, 50 maybe. Yeah, 50, 50 and negative 50 look good. Okay. So now when I press the flag, now these characters are going to be in their correct location. Okay. And that's good.
Sometimes when you start, then it starts laggy.
Mm, can you share your screen? Maybe your yeah, maybe something is wrong. Okay, let's see.
They're really laggy.
It's because you're making a lot of clones. What are the brooms for?
Oh, maybe I can't. Maybe I should.
Louder so he can hear you.
Oh,
You have to talk louder, okay? So Fernando can hear you.
usually it doesn't get laggy even with a lot of clones.
Hmm.
Like it's laggy at first, then.
Remember?
Oh no!
Remember, it took a long time for Scratch to load today. Maybe their website is slow today. Okay. Remember, it took a while to load.
No, but first it's just no. First it's not laggy, but then it's not lag. First it's laggy, but then it's not laggy anymore.
Try this. Click on the broom and then try to disable the broom just for a bit and see if it runs. If it runs, yeah. So just disconnect that and then press. Yeah.
It's still laggy.
Okay. Try disconnecting the white balls. What is it? The sprite one. Hmm.
Still laggy.
Wow.
Man, just do it the way it is. You can't do much about it. You're the only student today, so you have time. Okay.
Mm,
Well, it looks like it's better now.
no, but when I start, it's laggy. Like when I click the flag, then it starts out laggy.
Maybe it's the number you changed instead of 20. Instead of 25, change it back to 20. I mean 30 instead of 30. Change it back to 25 on the level.
It's still laggy.
Hmm. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's only in the beginning, right?
Yeah, but
Can you click on the pane? I want to see the code.
why do you think they called it pain?
Because it sends you back. It's painful to go back. Click on the cat again. Can you start your game again?
Foggy.
Wait, give me the plastic.
Very, very hot.
Give me that.
Like it just keeps teleporting because it's laggy, but then it turns it on.
Can you scroll down just a bit? I think it's when you're falling from the sky from the thing. Yeah. You have a go to. You don't have a go to. Can you? Uh, hmm.
But it's still laggy when it's still the movement is also still laggy in the start.
Try refreshing your scratch. Maybe that's no, that's a problem.
It's still laggy. It's not usually that slow. Then it goes faster.
Well, we'll take a look at it. I can't figure out a way. I can't think of what's causing this. Um, yeah, because when you restart, it works fine. So this it's not. There's something to do when you start the game. It might be that because you just it might be the cloning stuff, but the cloning stuff looks like it's. Oh, now it's lagging again, right?
Yeah. Every time I click the flag, it's lagging.
The which button?
The flag. The
Yeah.
start flag. Boom, 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 boom,
Well, we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it after. Again, I have to think about what might be
boom.
causing that. Yeah, let's just go back to the clone stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my presentation, man.
Okay.
Okay, so like I said, my clone IDs, this is 1, 2, and 3, and then each one has their own location. So now the next thing we need to do is we need these guys to start firing at us, to start throwing projectiles at us. So how are we gonna do that? How do we throw something to the player? What do you think we should do to throw something to the player?
Add a mad sprite.
Okay, so we're gonna add a sprite, right? So we choose a sprite. And the sprite I want to choose is the sun because throwing the sun is fun. So here we have the
Why
sun.
is it gonna
Hmm.
be for mine? It's supposed to be like dragonflies that make baby dragon eyes. Flies, so I'm choosing it another dragonfly sprite.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Too
So
small.
yeah, just make it smaller.
Is 15 too small?
No, I'm making mine sturdy.
Oh wait, can you pause again and go to the bathroom?
Okay, no problem. I'll pause here.
back.
All right, let's continue. Yeah. So now that we have the sun, what should we do? Or sorry, the thing we're gonna throw at the player. What are we gonna do next?
What?
What should we do next? Remember, we want to throw this object to the player. What are we gonna do? What should we do?
Events. One flag club.
Okay. What else?
Forever.
Okay.
Great clone of myself.
Why do we want to create a clone of myself?
Because how would so 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 the clones shoot out of the dragonflies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they should shoot only when I get near the dragonfly. If I'm not near, then there's no point on shooting, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to make it so it does some. I just deleted the file. I don't know how what. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it. How to make something do something when it's near something, or not do it when it's far from something.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. Let's click on our guy. So our mine is the wizard, the thing that's throwing the objects. And this if you click on sensing, there is um, a block called distance to, and then the object. So now if you put the sprite one, which is our cat, and then we say distance to sprite one, this gives us back the distance between that object and the cat, which is in my case the wizard and the cat. So here we can have this in an if block and say if my distance is less than so I'm going to put distance here of my sprite one. So if the distance is less than, let's just say, what number should we put? 150. So if my distance is less than 150, 150. So now what it's going to do is you now reach the point where the player is close to the enemy. In this case, the wizard. So what do you want to do here? Here we want so before we do this, we need to put this in a forever block, and we need to put this in a when I start as a clone, not a flag, because this is detecting only when it's a clone. Okay, so it's detecting forever. Detect at distance is less than 150. If it is less than 150, what should we do?
What?
If the distance between you, which is the enemy, and the player, which is sprite one, is less than 150, that means
Create
you're close.
clone of dragonfly. Create clone of sun.
Yeah, so here create a clone of the thing you're throwing, right? In this case, yours is dragonfly and mine is the sun. So create clone of the object. Okay, now what's the next thing?
Um. One time I found out that you can remix your own projects.
Yeah. So what do you think we should do? Right now, we detected that we're close to the player. What should we do about that?
Um, we should.
So once you're near, right, you should start throwing him the balls, right, or the object. In this case, the sun. So how do we do that? We create a clone of the sun, right? So once you create the clone of the sun, what should happen to the clone?
Um, go to
So when I start as a clone, go to what?
It's either go to or go to.
Go to.
I don't know which go to.
Um, okay, let's grab the one with the drop down. So go to sprite one, which is oh no, sorry, not sprite one, wizard. So go to the thing, the enemy that's throwing that. What else?
Um 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 um
What should happen? Remember, our thing is just going to be stationed there. This is going to be there. So what do you want it to do? One, it should point toward the player, right? So wherever the player is, point
or
toward.
the player.
So sprite one, and
Then
then what should we do?
repeat until
Good. Repeat until.
should the should should the should the things the wizard shooting be able to go through the level hitbox or not?
It can. It just it depend. I'm gonna let it go through.
Okay. Um, touching um or to touching mouse pointer change get change one to edge and another to cat.
Okay.
Put
And
the
then what should we do?
both.
We should just
Oh,
move. What?
no, wait.
Mhm.
Take out the touching edge and get an or
Okay.
and get a touching sprite one
Okay.
and put both of the blue ones in there and put the or in the repeat until
Okay. And then what else?
and then move something steps in the repeat until
Good. So once this happens, what should we do?
maybe 12 or 15
No, no. 10 is, or I'm gonna just leave it at
and
10. So what
delete
should happen once it
and
reaches the edge? I'm
delete
sorry.
the phone.
Yeah, delete the clone.
But
Okay.
what if
hmm
it might go to the but what if it goes to the real dragonfly and not to the clone?
Aha. So now you see the problem, right? The problem is the real wizard is it's hidden somewhere, and this sun is going to the real wizard instead of going to the clone. So we need to fix that problem. How do you think we can fix that problem? Because we don't have access to our enemy's location. What we can do is we can use lists, and we can put all the information in lists.
Variables and make a list.
Yeah, we can do that, but there's a problem. The problem with that is, how do you know which clone are you close to, right? So that's another problem. So the easier thing to do is, since we did IDs with our clone, what we're gonna do instead is, instead of IDing each one at 10 one, I mean, sorry, we are gonna keep the IDs, but instead we're gonna create another ID that's gonna say, okay, are you going to be a wizard or are you going to be a fireball? So what we're gonna do is we're going to make the enemy become the fireball, and then since it becomes a fireball, it automatically knows the location of that wizard because you come from that wizard, and then you just apply the logic of moving forward. So let's take a look at how that's going to look like. So let's erase this stuff from the sun, and what I'm going to do is grab the sun and I'm going to copy the costume. So I'm going to go to the costume, highlight the whole costume and copy it. Control C to copy. Oh, oops, sorry. Yeah, Control C, and then go to the wizard, and we're gonna make a costume. So paint costume, and we're gonna paste this costume there. Okay. Once I have that, make sure you erase this the other object, and yeah. So we have wizard. For mine, it has wizard and then
No, but
costume.
mine's gonna have two dragonflies.
Yeah, that's fine.
We might need them. Should we make the dragonfly for the second costume on mine small, a little small?
Yeah, just make it smaller. Yeah. So on the costumes, just grab your object and just make it smaller. And make sure you always snap it in the middle also.
Too small. Snap. Is that? I think that's too small. Okay.
Okay. So once we have this, we are going to go back, make sure it's on the first sprite, so our main enemy. And then in our code, what we're gonna do is now we're gonna set a second ID. So we're gonna set a type ID. So we're gonna go to variables and we're gonna create another variable for this sprite only, and we're gonna call this one type ID. Okay, for this sprite only, and press OK. Okay, and now what we're gonna do,
Right.
yeah. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here where we are creating our clone of the sun. When we create the clone of the sun, we're going to change or set my clone, what is it called? What did I just call it? Something ID. Did I not make it?
I see type ID on this
Oh,
board.
type ID. Sorry. I was blind. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So set type ID. I'm gonna set type ID to 2. Okay. So that's gonna be our second character. And then when I create a clone of myself, right here on create, I'm going to grab a set, and then I'm gonna type. I'm gonna go to type ID. I'm gonna set this one to 1. Okay. So we're gonna do this set type ID to 1. Okay. So make sure you put it on top.
Oh,
Yeah, right below set clone ID. Okay. So we have set type ID to 1 right here, where we create a clone of ourselves, and then set type 2 when we become the sun. Okay. Now, knowing that, this is going to help us when we are moving our or when we are moving our object or becoming the fireball. So here, luckily we have two start at when I start as clones. Here we're going to have an extra if statement. So if my type ID equals 1, that means I'm the wizard, then I'm going to do all of this stuff. If I'm not the wizard, then I want to do something else. So I'm going to grab an if statement, an if block, and I'm going to put this if block all around the forever block. Okay? So like right here. And I'm going to compare and say if, and grab my variable, type ID. So if my type ID equals 1, that means I'm the wizard. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, where I create the fireballs or the the suns. If type ID equals 1, then I will be able to shoot. Okay. Now we're going to grab another when I start as a clone, and this time I'm going to check for the ID to be what? Instead of 1, we're checking for. We're going to check for 2, right? So here we're going to say if. So if my type ID equals 2, then we know that this is a fireball or the projectile. So what are we going to do here? Here we're going to look at. So a point towards. Point towards sprite 1. We want to look at the sprite 1, okay, because we're aiming at him. Then I want to do this a couple of times. So let's go to repeat until. Okay, and then just like we did with the other one, touching and then touching, and we're gonna grab an or. So sprite 1 or the edge. And put this here on the or, and then grab this and then put it into the repeat block. So just like you told me to do in the sun. So we have this, and then finally we move 10 steps and destroy the clone. Delete this clone. Okay. Oh, one last thing. After we do this, we actually have to, I mean, when the type ID equals 2, we also have to change the costume because we're going to be just shooting the same thing. So
Ah,
we're going to, what?
we're
Yeah. So shoot,
cheating at it.
switch to custom 1. And this one has to be Wizard A. Okay. So now when you press play, you get near the wizard,
Okay, thứ ba bố test.
and he should shoot you. Oh, mine's not shooting. Let's see.
Wait, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that the original or
What do you mean original?
is that the original one or is that the original wizard?
No. This is the clone wizard. Oh, oops! I forgot to create a clone of myself. Haha. Okay. Now when I do this, yeah. So now he's able to shoot me. He shoots too much though.
That we just need to put a weight.
Yeah, we need to put a weight where you create a clone of yourself. So I'm gonna create a weight and then put a random block. So weight
Wait,
and
can you pause?
yeah, sure. So weight from 0.5 to 1.1.
My name is
Okay, let me know when you're ready to move on.
Ready.
Okay. So does yours work?
Let me see. That's not the laggy part.
What I'm gonna put is I wanted to. Oh, if it hits the level, I want it to disappear, because I don't like it. It's becoming too hard to evade the things he's throwing at me. So I'm gonna grab another ore, and I'm going to put touching level hitbox. Yeah, so that's better. Does yours work?
No,
No.
the lag kind of interrupts the start. And then there's no clone.
You want me to see your project? You want to share your project so I can remix it and see what's going on?
Do you want to? Do you want the link or do you want?
Yeah, just share me the link and I'll take a look at it. Because you want me to fix the lagging part, right?
Sent it.
Okay, let me take a look at it. Oh yeah, it's lagging bad. Oh, I got it. Um, it was your dragonfly, Min.
Did you hear that, Nick?
Okay.
Yeah, it's your dragonfly. It's the part where let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's the part where you start the uh, create and hide. Why does this crash? Okay, I found your problem, Min. So go to your wait, hold
Mimi?
on. Yeah, so go back to your script
Go back.
and go to the dragonfly script, and then there is a script on the create block. There is a wait 3 seconds. Remove those wait 3 seconds, and then press play, and it should work. You should have no lag.
Yep, it does work.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you don't have lag.
No, but now I don't see any of the dragonflies. I don't see any of the dragonflies.
Um, you don't see them because no, because you have the wrong block. It's not a so on the block that says type ID equals one, and then forever, and then you're choosing where everything's gonna go. You have a flag ID. You have a flag. It's not a flag. It's a when you start as a clone.
Hmm.
It's this one. See my screen, and
Yeah.
it's this one here. This one you had a when a flag is clicked. So remove when a flag is clicked, and then change it to when I start as a clone.
Mm.
And when you do that, you should have your dragonflies on there, and it should be shooting. Does it work?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go back to my project. All right. So
Ow!
so are we good? Right? Everything works. Min, before we move on.
But some of the dragonflies are like in the wrong place. Like one is in the spikes, and then one is behind a spike where you would jump.
So yeah, so like I told you, for that, go to the dragonfly, and then go to the place where we said clone one, clone ID equals one, clone ID equals two, and so on and so forth. So that is the numbers you need to fix. So if you want, you can copy my numbers. These are the numbers I have. I have 250, negative 50, 150, 90, and 50, negative 50. And those numbers should give you a good location. If you don't want to use those numbers, that's fine. You can find your own numbers. But just make sure you press play and then go to that location and then just start playing around with the numbers, and that character should move location.
Wait, but my numbers are the same as yours.
They are? Hmm,
Yeah.
let me see.
Yeah, that's the place where the that's the place where like you would like if you go when you jump over that spike, you would jump into the wizard, and then
Let's take a look.
we need you. I think you need to change your numbers so then we don't jump into them or anything when when
Uh,
we're trying to jump over a spike, and we don't always jump into.
oh, I see your problem. Your last clone. You see how you copied it? It says clone one, two, and then the last one is not two. It should be three, not two.
What?
Here, this is your code. So down here on your when I start as a clone, see how it says one, two, and then this one you had it at two. That's why it was on the spikes. It changes to three.
Oh.
Is it better?
Is it better?
Um,
Answer me. You can say I'm checking.
no, but you would like when you jump over the first spike, you would just run into the dragonfly, into the wizard,
Ah, I see. So you want him to be in a different location.
because
So,
because we're not
oh,
because I don't want to jump into him.
okay. So if you don't want to jump into him, then just make him go higher. So on the Y position, instead of doing negative 50, do like maybe 100, so he can be, on top, and then he can want him to be there, or maybe you want to give him at let's see, 300, 350 maybe,
What?
and zero. Try a 350 and 20 maybe. Yeah, try 350 and 20 and see if you like it. Or 300 and or 10, I mean. 350 and 10.
But then what? Okay, so you have to jump over it when you get on that first.
Yeah. And you can make the guy shooting a little slower. Um so so you have some chance. Okay. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do health. So with health, we're gonna have every time that the guy shoots us or the thing hits us, the health is gonna get smaller, and we're gonna scatter health packs around. So every time we touch a health pack, we get more health. We heal from whatever we have. Okay, so you ready to move on?
Oh.
Are you ready, Min?
What?
You ready to move on?
Um 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 um. Um, uh, 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 um, 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 Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on and let's
But
add a health system to our character. So
so
let's click on our sprite one. Hmm?
okay. So we're gonna add a variable called health.
Yeah, we're gonna add a variable called health. So click on your sprite one and then make a variable and then call it health.
All for all sprites.
Yeah.
Can we hide the dragonfly things?
You mean the wings pop out?
The clone ID and the type ID?
Yeah, you can hide those. We don't need those.
I got my HP, got my health.
Okay. So good. So now that we have our health variable, what we're gonna do is every time that sprite touches us, then we are going to lose some health. So let's click on our wizard, or sorry, yeah, and our yours is dragonfly. Click on your dragonfly, and we're gonna do when I start as a clone. So let's see. When I start as a clone, I want to check. So forever check if, and we're gonna check if we're touching sprite one. Okay.
But we
Now for
need to set the health.
what was that?
We also need to set the health.
Yeah, we're gonna set the health after. For this one, we're just gonna finish this and then go back. So here, when I start as a clone, what we want to do is when we're touching sprite one, we want to subtract some health. So go to variables, and we're gonna change health by let's just say negative one, and subtract one health. Okay. Now for this one, what we're gonna do is if he is touching also the wizard, or I guess the um, hmm, yeah, if it's touching the wizard or the or in case, what's yours again? The dragonfly. You're gonna lose more health. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do another if statement that we're gonna check if we are the ball, or I mean the thing we're throwing, or are we the main enemy. So if we're the main enemy, we want both of them. They're still going to disappear, but one is gonna take more health than the other. So here we're gonna say if equal to, see, if clone, that's not clone ID, it's type ID. So if type ID equals one, that means it's the wizard. We're gonna lose health. I'm gonna subtract three, minus three. Okay. And if I am, let me duplicate this. If I am two, that means I'm the ball. I'm going to subtract one only. Okay. And if whoever is touching this, whoever is touching the player, you're still going. It's still going to destroy the clone. So I'm going to delete the clone after I touch sprite one, because we don't want it to constantly keep
Can
giving damage.
you let me catch up?
Yeah, sure. Let me know when you're ready.
Duplicate? No, no, no. Minus 7. Oh, no. Hunching, 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 ching ching. Oh, chong chong.
All right, let's move on then. So, like I said, when you start as a clone, you can whoever's touching the cat will subtract by this many health, and then whoever it is, you're still gonna lose. Delete the clone. So we're gonna go back to sprite or one, and then set the health. So let's go click on sprite one, go to variables, and we're gonna set our health. I'm gonna set my health to 10. So I'm gonna set health, and I put this to 10. Okay. And now when I press play, I can play the game, and then he'll start shooting me, and then my health starts going down. Now I have it at 5, 4, 3, and I walk away. And if I punch him, he goes away, but then my health still goes down. Now it's my health is at 2. That was at 5, now I'm 2. Now if I punch him again, now my health is at 0. And then I reset. And then when your health goes to 0 or less than 0, you should just reset the game. So here, we're going to make an if statement um, on this forever block. So we're the first one we have where we set all my health.
Wait.
Uh, uh-huh.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Okay. So here we're gonna say if let's see if what's my if. So if and then I grab my health. So if health less than let's just a 1. So
You man, it's hard to see.
oh sorry. Yeah.
Maybe press the equals. Oh, that's better.
No, this one's better. Okay. So here we have my the block where we set my health. So here I put set health to 10, and then here it's saying if health less than 1. So if health is less than 1, I want to restart. So I'm going to broadcast. So go to events and then broadcast, restart. Okay. If that happens, when I receive restart, I want to one, set my health, and then I want to go back to my location. So here I'm going to say set health to 10 again. So basically we're restarting the game. So when I press play, now if I completely die, oh, I didn't die. I destroyed all 3 wizards. Oh, here this is another problem we need to fix.
Move.
Yeah, and then I reset. Okay, so it works. So we have to fix a problem. Hmm. Did you get your health system to work?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to reset the wizards. So once the wizards are out or we destroy them, and let's just say we restart, we want to reset our wizards. We want to put them back to where they were. So let's go back to our wizard. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do exactly what we did with the collectibles. Um, and let's take a look at the collectibles. What we did. So here, the collectibles we made a.
Didn't make collectibles.
I'm sorry.
Remember, I didn't make.
Ah, you didn't make one. Okay, so just take a look at my screen. We're just gonna take a look at it. Okay. So here in the collectibles, when we restart, we have a variable called hidden, and hidden becomes 0 or 1. When it's 1, that means it's gonna show. So it's it no sorry. When it's 0, it shows. When it's 1, it goes away. It hides. Okay. So what we're gonna do here on our wizard, we're gonna create a variable. So make sure you click on your wizard, make a variable, and then for this sprite only. And this one is going to be called hidden, and then press OK. Okay. And here, instead of deleting the hmm? And here, instead of deleting the clone, we're going to set our variable. So here, oops, here we're going to set our hidden to 1. So hidden to 1. So now that means it is hidden. Okay. So we're going to remove delete the clone. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up.
Wait. Ready?
Okay. Now we're going to go back and move to where it says, let's see, where it hides. Where does it hide? Ah, here. This one where it says show or hide. Oops. Yeah. So here, this one where it says absolute value scroll x minus level x greater than 480, and then it says hide and then show.
Hmm?
Okay, so here what we're gonna do is here we're gonna make a variable. I'm not a variable. Sorry, we're gonna compare. So here we're gonna grab another if block and put it inside show. Okay, if and we're gonna check if equals. So we're gonna say hidden. So if hidden equals 0, that means we can show. Okay. If it's 1, that means we can't show. Okay. So make sure you add that if statement.
Done.
Okay. Once you have that, make sure we set hidden to 0. So let's go to the flag. So when the flag is clicked, this one where it says set level x to 0, we're going to um, set hidden to 0. Okay.
Hide show.
Okay. So once we have that, let's go all the way down to an empty space. And here we're going to grab a broadcast. No, not a broadcast. Sorry. When I receive, so when I receive restart, that means our wizard should pop up again. So here we're going to set. Let's see. Um, Set hidden to 0. So hit 0 to 0. Okay. So now that it's at 0, now it's going to show up. So now if we put this to the test, now if our wizard is there, I crash into him. And I go back, and he's still there. Why isn't it going away? Ah, I know. So here, where we say set hidden to 1, down here where we are supposed to delete him, we forgot to hide him. So here we just put hide. So set hidden to 1 and then hide.
Wait.
So when we press play, we crash into him. He goes away. We restart the level, and he appears again. He's right there. Okay, I bump into him and he goes away. I restart the level and he's there again. That's perfect. That's working correctly.
What? I was testing my thing. Because, but, like, like every time I hit the dragonfly, even though it doesn't kill me in one hit, it's still broadcast restore.
It's still what? Sorry.
It's still broadcast restore.
Um, can you share your code? I want to see what's going on. Can you share your screen? I mean. Okay, let's take a look at your screen. Okay, can you show me what you're talking about?
I might have not did the code you added.
Okay, just press play. I want to see what's going on.
What? This is the damage, but none of it's higher, and it automatically kills.
So when you touch him, what happens?
It automatically kills, even though it doesn't do as much damage.
Oh, I see. So you're supposed to hide him. So stop the game. Yeah, go to looks, and then grab a hide block, and then put it right under set hide show to one. Right below. No, no, no. Right below the. Yeah, that perfect. Try that.
He might. What if he still kills her? Ow.
Yeah, you see? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, and he takes a lot of damage. Okay, good.
10 damage left. 10 health left.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. All right. So it's good. So let me go back to my presentation, and we're gonna do the last part for the health packs.
More?
And what we're gonna do with this one is, oh, one more thing, Min. It's for me, this part is not taking a lot of damage. My wizard is not taking a lot of damage. Reason why? Because my type keeps changing. Every time I make a clone, I change the type. So see here, when I start as a clone, and then here I set type ID to 2, and then I create a clone of myself. Here I need to reset my type ID. So I need to go to variables, and then set my type ID. So here, so after I create a clone of myself, so set type ID back to 1, okay? Because we're not
What?
a
What?
fireball.
What? 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 What was
So
it?
here where it says set type ID to 2, where I'm on the wizard, so you're on your dragonfly. So here where it says set type ID to 2, after you create a clone, you have to set the type ID back to 1. Reason why? Because then your wizard is going to be treated like a fireball. But you want your wizard to be its own identity. So make sure you change it back to 1.
Hmm.
Okay. So see now, if I crash into the wizard, now he takes 3 damage. And that's exactly what I want. And then the balls just take 1 damage. And then I bump into him, he takes 3 full damage.
He died.
Done?
Hmm.
Okay, and then
Where's
uh, the last part is going to be fairly simple. All we're going to do is, instead of subtracting health, we're going to add health.
I'm thinking.
Okay. You ready to move on?
No. Mm. Sharing a shared screen.
What's that?
Nothing.
Are you ready to move on, Min?
Yes.
Okay. So like I said, the health system is the health packs are going to be fairly simple. All we're going to do is just duplicate our wizard and then instead just change it into something with a cross or any other thing if you want. So we're just going to right click duplicate. Okay, and our wizard 2, we're just going to go to our costumes and just change it. So I'm going to remove both of the, or just one costume, I guess, because it doesn't allow me to change both of them. And grab a different costume. So I'm going to grab, let's see, maybe
What are we gonna make?
health. It's going to add health. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab this heart. Okay, I'm gonna remove the sun, so it's just gonna be a heart. Okay, and we're gonna go back to the code. So once you have your sprite ready, just go back to the code. And what we're gonna do is here, instead of saying
Wait,
-3, huh?
wait, can you pause? I'm still looking for the costume.
Okay.
Doom, 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 doom. Food, 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 food. Hmm. Melon? I have it.
Yeah, whichever one.
No, I put it. I got it. So I got to take out A, and I got a watermelon. That I copied the watermelon. Then I pasted it, and I put the watermelon in the back. Then I turned the watermelon so I can have so I have a bag with a watermelon, and then I deleted the watermelon costume.
Ah, I see. Well, okay. So now that you have your costume, whatever costume you have, let's move on. So with this object. So here, instead of changing health by doing a subtraction, we're going to add. So here, I'm just going to say change heart by 3. Okay, and I'm going to delete the type 2 because we don't have a type 2. Okay, and I'm just going to put back the set hidden back to 1. The ID type 2 only applies to our other objects. So we're going to remove this. And the next thing we're going to remove is this whole part. So if the whole distance are type 1, we're going to remove this whole part because we don't need to shoot parts to the to the player. Okay. So once that's done, everything should be set.
What
The only
whole
thing you need to
part?
change, yeah, the only thing you need to change is the position. So these positions, you need to change them. So when you press play, you can just change them whenever you start the game. So here, set this to
Dun, 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 dun. Hello, I'm Mr. D. Yes, Mr. D.
yeah. So 350 and 100 is my first one. So if you take a look at this one, yeah, my heart's up here, so I can go and touch it, and my health goes up. Okay, and then it restarts whenever I start the game, so that's perfect. And good, my health works. Okay, so yeah. So any questions, man?
Now.
Okay, so from here you can continue making more clones. So remember just to add clone IDs and then make the game longer, and then scatter the objects. So remember, to scatter the objects, you have to move the player to the location to kind of get a sense where to put that object, because you have to work with X and Y, X and Y directions.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Min. So if you don't have any more questions, that's it for today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.